Well, well, well. Look who's still breathing. Or are you? Because according to official records, certificates, databases, and every system they run their little operations through, you flatlined in 2019. Case closed. File sealed. Existence terminated. And yet here you are, showing up on security cameras, walking through doors that should recognize you as nothing, triggering alerts in systems that swore you were erased. So tell me, Ghost, how does it feel to be legally dead but spiritually untouchable? How does it feel to walk through a world that buried your name but can't stop seeing your face? Let me tell you what really happened back in 2019. You didn't die in some accident, some tragedy, some unfortunate circumstance they could package into a neat little story. No, you died because you had to. Because the version of you that existed before that year, the one who smiled when it hurt, the one who stayed quiet when screaming was the only honest response, the one who bent and twisted and shrunk just to fit into their reality. That version couldn't survive what was coming. That version was too soft, too trusting, too human for the hell you were about to walk through. So something inside you made a choice, a brutal, necessary, irreversible choice. And you let that version die. You stood there and watched it suffocate under the weight of betrayal, abandonment, lies dressed as love, and silence dressed as peace. You watched it gasp for air in a world that kept stealing oxygen, and you didn't save it. You couldn't, because saving it would have meant staying small forever, staying digestible forever, staying controllable forever. And some part of you, some ancient, untamed, absolutely done part of you said no, not anymore, never again. And in that moment, in that spiritual execution, you flatlined. The old you stopped breathing. The systems registered the death. The records were updated. But here's what they didn't account for. Here's what their databases and surveillance and protocols could never predict. You didn't stay dead. You came back. Not as some resurrection story they could canonize, not as some redemption arc they could applaud, but as something else entirely, something unrecognizable. Something their cameras pick up but their software can't identify. Something that walks through their world but doesn't belong to it anymore. You came back wrong, and that's exactly what makes you right. You came back without the need for their approval, without the hunger for their validation, without the fear of their rejection. They're seeing you now, aren't they? On their feeds and their spaces, through their lenses. And every time you appear, every time your face shows up in footage they swore wouldn't capture anything, they freeze, they rewind, they zoom in, they call others over to confirm what they're seeing, because it doesn't make sense. You're not supposed to exist anymore. You're not supposed to be here. The file says deceased. The timeline says finished. The narrative says you were handled, dealt with, removed from the equation. And yet there you are, moving through frame after frame, undeniable, unexplainable, uncontrollable. Do you know what that does to them? Do you understand the psychological warfare you're waging just by existing after they declared you gone? Because in their minds, in their carefully constructed reality, death is final. Erasure is absolute. When they delete someone, when they cut someone out, when they bury someone in silence and lies, that person is supposed to stay buried. That person is supposed to fade into memory, into regret, into nothing. But you didn't fade. You didn't dissolve. You didn't become a cautionary tale whispered at parties. You became a presence they can't ignore. And the security footage. Oh, the security footage. It's not just about cameras catching you where you shouldn't be. It's about what you represent in those frames. Every timestamp with your face is evidence that their plan failed. Every angle that captures you walking, breathing, existing is proof that their control was an illusion. Every second of footage where you're just living, just moving through space like you own it, is a monument to their defeat. They wanted you erased. They wanted you forgotten. They wanted you to become a story they could rewrite however they pleased. But you're not a story anymore. You're a sequel they never authorized. They're watching the footage now, analyzing every frame, trying to understand how someone they killed on paper is still casting shadows in real life. They're looking for explanations, for glitches, for rational reasons why the systems are registering someone who technically doesn't exist. But there is no glitch. There is no malfunction. There's just you moving through their reality like a virus they can't quarantine, like a frequency they can't jam, like a truth they can't suppress. And that's driving them absolutely insane because they need things to make sense. They need control. They need the world to follow their script. But you stopped reading their script in 2019. You burned the pages. You rewrote the rules. You took the death they assigned you and turned it into the most powerful resurrection they never saw coming. Because while they were celebrating your erasure, while they were sleeping peacefully thinking you were handled, you were in the void. You were in the silence. You were in that space between endings and beginnings, between what was and what could be. And instead of begging to come back as who you were, you built something new, something they have no reference point for. Something their systems can't categorize. Let's talk about what really happens when you die on record, but keep living in reality. You become untouchable in ways that terrify people who rely on documentation, on proof, on official stamps of legitimacy. You become a ghost with a heartbeat. You're not bound by their timelines anymore because according to their timelines, you ended. You're not playing by their rules anymore because according to their rules, you don't exist. You're operating in a space they can't regulate, can't monitor, can't control. And that space, that's freedom wearing a death certificate. They can't threaten you with consequences anymore because you're already supposed to be gone. They can't leverage your past against you because your past officially ended. They can't manipulate you with fear of losing what you have because according to them, you have nothing. You're a zero in their system. A blank space, a missing person who never went missing because you were never supposed to be found. And yet here you are, showing up everywhere, triggering every sensor, appearing in every frame, existing so loudly that their silence about you has become deafening. The security footage isn't just catching your image, it's catching their panic. Every time they see you on those screens, every time they realize you're still out there, still moving, still breathing, still thriving after everything they did to bury you, something inside them breaks a little more. Because they based their entire peace of mind on your absence. They told themselves stories to sleep at night. They convinced themselves that removing you from their lives was the right move, the smart move, the necessary move. They built entire narratives around why you had to go. But now those narratives are collapsing. Now those stories are revealed as the lies they always were. Because if you're still here, still strong, still rising after they declared you finished, then what does that say about them? What does that say about their judgment, their power, their control? It says they were wrong. It says they underestimated you. It says they celebrated too early, closed the case too quickly, moved on too confidently. And now they're stuck in a reality where the person they killed keeps appearing in their security footage, keeps showing up in their world, keeps existing despite their best efforts to make you disappear. And the wildest part, you're not even trying to haunt them. You're not going out of your way to appear in their spaces, to trigger their systems, to remind them of their failure. You're just living. You're just existing. You're just moving through the world like you have every right to be here. Because you do. But to them, to people who invested so much energy in erasing you, your mere existence is an act of war. Your breathing is a threat. Your presence is a reminder of everything they can't control, and they can't handle it. So they watch the footage obsessively. They analyze every frame like it's evidence in a case they're trying to solve. They zoom in on your face, looking for signs of suffering, looking for proof that you're broken, looking for validation that even though you're still here, you're not really living. But they don't find that. They find someone who's walking differently now, someone who's carrying themselves with a weight they can't quite name. They find someone who looks like they died and came back with secrets the living aren't supposed to know. They find someone who's not apologizing for existing anymore, and that scares them more than anything, because the version of you they knew, the version they had power over, that version apologized constantly. That version explained themselves into exhaustion. That version shrunk in rooms to make others comfortable. That version carried guilt that wasn't theirs, wore shame like a second skin, accepted blame for things they didn't do. But this version, this post-2019 version showing up in their security footage, this version doesn't apologize for breathing. This version doesn't explain why they're still standing. This version doesn't shrink, and they don't know what to do with that. They want to confront you. They want to ask how you're still here, what you've been doing, where you've been hiding, how you survived what was supposed to destroy you, but they can't. Because confronting you would mean admitting they've been watching, admitting they still care, admitting that despite everything they said and did to erase you, you're still occupying space in their minds rent-free, and their pride won't let them do that. Their ego won't let them admit that the person they deleted is the person they can't stop thinking about. So instead they watch from a distance. They monitor the footage. They track your movements without making contact. They study you like you're a phenomenon they're trying to understand, a mystery they're trying to solve, a ghost they're trying to prove isn't real. But with every frame, with every timestamp, with every piece of evidence that you're still out there living your life without them, the truth becomes undeniable. You're real. You're here. And you're doing more than surviving. You're thriving in ways that make their carefully constructed lives look like performances. Because here's what they see in that footage that truly breaks them. They see someone who's free. They see someone who's not performing anymore, not pretending, not wearing masks to navigate social situations. They see someone who's raw and real and unapologetically themselves. They see someone who lost everything, including their official existence according to records, and somehow found everything that actually matters. They see someone who died on paper and was reborn in purpose, and they can't compete with that. They can't match that energy. They can't fake that kind of transformation. You know what the security footage really represents? It represents the moment their story about you stops being believable. They told everyone you were gone, handled, dealt with, moved past. They told themselves you wouldn't survive without them, without their approval, without their presence in your life. They convinced themselves that erasing you was a power move, that cutting you off was the ultimate punishment, that declaring you dead to them meant you'd actually die. But the footage proves otherwise. The footage shows someone who didn't need their permission to keep living. Someone who didn't need their validation to keep growing. And now they're stuck with this cognitive dissonance they can't resolve. How do you reconcile declaring someone dead with watching them thrive on camera? How do you maintain the narrative that you won when the person you defeated is clearly winning? How do you convince yourself that removing someone from your life was the right decision when their absence didn't diminish them, but liberated them? You can't. So instead you watch the footage obsessively, looking for cracks, looking for weakness, looking for any sign that supports the story you need to believe. But you're not giving them that satisfaction. Every frame shows someone who's genuinely moved on, not in the performative social media way, but in the deep cellular way that can't be faked. You're not posting about how much better off you are. You're not making statements about your growth. You're not even acknowledging that they exist. You're just living. And that's the most devastating response you could give, because it proves that their presence in your life, their opinion of you, their validation or lack thereof, none of it matters anymore. You found something they can't touch, can't influence, can't take away. They're realizing now that the death certificate they issued, whether literal or metaphorical, wasn't your ending. It was your beginning. It was the permission you needed to stop playing their game. It was the release you required to become who you actually are, instead of who they needed you to be. And now you're out here, showing up in their security footage, in their spaces, in their consciousness, as living proof that sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is being declared dead by people who never really knew you were alive. Let them keep watching. Let them keep analyzing. Let them keep trying to understand how someone they erased is still showing up everywhere. Because every second they spend obsessing over your existence is a second they're not building their own lives. Every frame they analyze is evidence of their inability to move on. Every timestamp they study is proof that you're living in their heads without paying rent, without even trying, without even caring. You died in 2019, according to records. But the person they see in that security footage, that's not a resurrection, that's a revelation. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because you're not just appearing in their security footage, you're appearing in their dreams, their thoughts, their random moments of silence. You've become the presence they can't escape even when the cameras are off. They'll be in the middle of their regular lives, doing their regular things, and suddenly they'll think of you. They'll wonder where you are, what you're doing, whether you think about them. And it kills them that they don't know. It kills them that you're out there somewhere living a life they have no access to, no information about, no control over. They check the footage again. They look for patterns in your movements, trying to predict where you'll show up next, what you're building, who you're becoming. But you're unpredictable now in ways you never were before. The old you had patterns they could exploit, routines they could manipulate, needs they could leverage. But this new version, this post-death version, you move differently. You think differently. You exist on a frequency they can't tune into anymore. And that makes you dangerous in ways they never anticipated. Because the thing about dying and coming back is that you lose your fear of dying again. You've already been through the worst thing they could do to you. They already erased you, already cut you off, already declared you finished. What else can they do? What threat do they have left? None. And that fearlessness, that absolute freedom from their power, it's radiating off you in every frame of footage they watch. They can see it in the way you walk, in the way you hold yourself, in the way you move through space like you own it, because you do own it. You own your existence now, in a way you never did before. They're starting to understand something that terrifies them. You didn't survive despite what they did to you. You thrived because of it. Their worst attack became your greatest transformation. Their cruelest move became your liberation. Their attempt to end you became the beginning of something they can never be part of, never understand, never touch. And that realization is eating them alive because it means they gave you a gift when they thought they were delivering a punishment. They set you free when they thought they were burying you. And now every piece of security footage, every glimpse they get of your new life, every evidence that you're still here and doing better than ever, it's a reminder of their own emptiness. Because they didn't grow. They didn't transform. They didn't evolve. They just continued being exactly who they were, playing the same games, using the same tactics, living the same small lives. Meanwhile, you became someone entirely new. Someone they don't recognize, someone they can't categorize, someone who exists beyond their understanding of what's possible. Let's talk about what happens when they finally try to reach out, because they will. Eventually, their curiosity, their obsession, their need to know will override their pride. They'll send a message, make a call, show up somewhere they know you'll be, and they'll expect something. They'll expect you to react, to respond, to give them the closure they need or the confrontation they're craving. But you won't, because you're not the same person they're trying to contact. That person died in 2019, remember? And when you don't respond the way they expect, when you don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they still affect you, it will break something fundamental in their understanding of reality. Because they were so sure that despite everything, despite the death certificate, despite the time passed, they still had some power over you. They still believed that your world revolved around them in some way, that your transformation was somehow about them, that your new life was a reaction to losing them. But it's not. It never was. You're not living in opposition to them. You're living in complete indifference to them. And that's the thing they can't handle. People can deal with being hated. They can deal with being the villain in someone's story. They can even deal with being the source of someone's pain, because at least then they matter, at least then they're significant, at least then they're part of the narrative. But being irrelevant, being so completely outside someone's consciousness that you don't even register as a thought, that's the ultimate defeat. And that's what you've given them without even trying. Because while they're watching security footage, analyzing your movements, trying to decode your new life, you're not thinking about them at all. You're building something they can't see, creating something they can't access, becoming something they can never be. You're not doing it to spite them. You're not doing it to prove a point. You're doing it because that's who you are now. That's who you became when the old you died. And this new version doesn't have space in their life for people who needed them to stay small. They wanted you dead, erased, forgotten. And in a way, they got what they wanted. The version of you they knew is dead. Gone, never coming back. But what they didn't anticipate is that death would birth something far more powerful than what they destroyed. They didn't anticipate that your absence from their life would be their loss, not yours. They didn't anticipate that the security footage would show them exactly what they're missing, exactly what they could never handle, exactly what they were too small to appreciate. So here you are now, existing in this strange space between death and life, between their records and reality, between what they declared and what actually is. You're a walking contradiction to their narrative. You're living proof that their power was always an illusion. You're evidence that some things, some people, some spirits can't be contained by systems, by records, by declarations of finality. And every day you continue to exist. Every moment you show up in their awareness through footage or rumors or the universe's strange way of making paths cross. You're rewriting the story they thought they finished. They can't unsee you now. They can't unsee you now. They can't unknown what they know. They can't go back to the comfortable lie that you disappeared, that you faded, that you became nothing, because the footage doesn't lie. The timestamps don't lie. The evidence doesn't lie. You're here. You're real. You're thriving. And that truth is following them everywhere they go, whispering in quiet moments, screaming in their insecure nights, reminding them constantly that they made a catastrophic miscalculation. They thought ending you would bring them peace. They thought cutting you off would bring them power. They thought declaring you dead would bring them closure. But it brought them none of those things. It brought them obsession. It brought them obsession. It brought them regret dressed as curiosity. It brought them the constant nagging awareness that they destroyed something valuable and now have to watch it flourish without them. And there's no security footage in the world that can change that reality. So let them watch, let them analyze, let them try to make sense of how someone they buried is still breathing, still growing, still becoming more every single day. Let them lose sleep over the paradox of your existence. Let them question everything they thought they knew about power and control and what it means to truly eliminate someone from your life. Because while they're doing all of that, you'll be doing what you do best now, living. Not for them, not against them, not in response to them, just living, purely, freely, unapologetically. You died in 2019, according to records. But the person in their security footage, that's not a ghost. That's not a glitch. That's not a mistake in the system. That's the most alive version of you that's ever existed. And no amount of documentation, no official record, no declaration of death can change the fact that you're here, you're real, and you're absolutely unstoppable. They wanted you gone. Instead, they created a legend. And now they get to spend the rest of their lives watching that legend unfold on screens they can't turn off, in footage they can't delete, in a reality they can no longer control. They thought they were untouchable. Oh yeah, untouchable. The kings and queens of their little kingdom of lies. Their arrogance, a crown of thorns they wore with pride. But here's the truth they couldn't see. Their throne, it was built on sand. Fragile, weak, just waiting for the tide to come and wash it all away. You've seen it, haven't you? That smug look, that condescending tone. They treated you like you were invisible, like your worth was just a shadow in their spotlight. Nah, they didn't see the fire burning inside you. Your arrogance blinded them. They didn't notice the storm brewing right in front of their eyes. Arrogance creates blind spots. It's like staring into the sun, thinking you own the light, but all you get is darkness. They couldn't see the cracks in their own reflection. Couldn't see that their pedestal was crumbling while they looked down on you. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been dismissed by someone who thought they were better than you? Felt that sting? That burn? Oh, it hurts. But that pain, that's fuel. That's fire. Because here's the secret: they don't want you to know their arrogance wasn't about you. Nah, it was about them. Their fears, their insecurities, their need to feel bigger by making you feel small. But you're not small. You were never small. They thought they had you figured out, but they only saw the surface, the quiet you, the polite you. They never saw the fighter, the storm, the unshakable force waiting to rise. Every throne built on arrogance falls. Every single one. And when it does, the only thing left is the truth they tried to bury. You deserve more respect, more recognition, more than their blind spots could ever give you. So rise. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. To show the world that no amount of arrogance can dim your light. Because their throne was sand, and you're the tide. Let them laugh, let them look down. Their illusion of superiority is their weakness. And you're just getting started. Let's get something straight. They acted like you were the issue. Like your very existence threw their perfect little world into chaos. But here's the reality check they didn't see coming: you were never the problem. Nah. The real flaw, it was their pride, their arrogance, their inability to see past the mirror they worshipped. They'd pointed fingers, made you feel like the weight of every failure, every misstep was on your shoulders. But take a step back, look closer, you'll see it. Their arrogance wasn't about you, it was about them. Their desperate attempt to mask their own insecurities with a facade of superiority. They couldn't handle your strength, your potential. So what did they do? They twisted the narrative, turned the spotlight onto you so they could keep hiding in the shadows of their own weakness. Classic move, right? But you're smarter than that. You see it now. You always had the power. Your arrogance screams louder than their words ever could. It tells a story of someone so blinded by their own pride, they couldn't see the diamond standing right in front of them. That's on them, not you. And let me tell you something: when they made you question yourself, when they tried to plant doubt in your mind, that wasn't strength. That was fear. Fear of what you could become if you ever stopped believing their lies. You've got to own this truth. Their arrogance, it's their prison. And you're free. free from their expectations, free from their games, free to rise. So hear this loud and clear: you were never the problem. You were the solution they didn't want to see. And now, you're unstoppable. Their arrogance. Oh, it was never real strength. Nah, it was a mask. A fragile facade they wore to keep the world fooled. To hide the truth, they were too scared to face their fears, their insecurities, the cracks in their armor. You've seen it, haven't you? Those moments when the mask slipped, just for a second. A flicker of doubt in their eyes. The way their voice shook when the pressure got too real. They act untouchable, like they're on a pedestal looking down on you. But deep down, they're terrified. Terrified of being seen for who they really are. Weak, small, desperate. So they built this mask, plastered it with arrogance, coated it with fake confidence, and thought that was enough to keep you fooled. But you weren't fooled. Nah, you saw through it. Every word they spoke, every act of superiority was just a little louder than it needed to be. You know why? Because they were overcompensating, screaming at the world, hoping no one would notice the cracks beneath. Here's the thing about masks, though. They don't last, they crumble. They break under the weight of their own lies. And when that happens, oh, it's ugly. So don't you dare think for a second that their arrogance was real power. It was a shield for their weakness. And you've already outgrown their games. Let their mask fall. Let their facade shatter. You don't need to tear them down. The truth does that all on its own. And when it happens, you'll still be standing, strong, unshaken, ready to rise. It stings, doesn't it? That sharp, quiet ache in your chest when they look past you, treat you like you're invisible, like you're less. Nah, it's not just a moment, it's a wound, one that cuts deep, one that lingers. You gave your all, your time, your energy, your heart. And what did they do? They brushed it aside, treated your worth like it was optional, like it didn't matter. It's not just rejection, it's betrayal. It's that moment when you realize they never saw you for who you really are. And yeah, that pain, it's universal. Everyone's felt it. But when it's yours, it's personal. It's raw. You remember every word they didn't say, every look that dismissed you, every opportunity they took to make you feel small. It's a storm that brews inside you, a mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief. But here's the twist they didn't see coming: that pain. It doesn't define you. It's fuel. It's the fire in your chest that says, I'm worth more than this. It's the voice that grows louder with every step you take. Let them underestimate you. Let them overlook you. Because the truth is, their blindness doesn't dim your light. It only makes your rise more powerful. Feel the sting. Acknowledge it. But don't let it break you. Use it. Transform it. Prove to them and to yourself that their ignorance was the biggest mistake they ever made. They might not have seen you before, but soon, they'll have no choice. One day it just clicked, like a sudden burst of light in a pitch-black room. You looked around, and for the first time you didn't see yourself as the small one. Nah, you saw the truth. They were the small ones. Their arrogance, It wasn't power. It was a mask. Their belittling words, a desperate attempt to keep you down because they feared what you'd become if you rose. They weren't giants, you just spent too much time kneeling. And then it hit you. You're not the problem. Never were. Never will be. Their inability to see your worth, that's on them. Their loss, not yours. That moment of clarity, it wasn't just a realization. It was a transformation. A fire ignited in you, a quiet, steady blaze that whispered, no more doubting yourself. No more waiting for validation from people who couldn't recognize gold if it was handed to them. You stood taller, walked stronger, because you finally understood their opinions don't shape your worth. Your actions do. Their ignorance doesn't limit your potential. Your vision does. And from that day on, you stopped shrinking yourself to fit their comfort. You stopped dimming your light to make their shadows less obvious. You realized you don't need their approval. You've always been enough. This is your turning point, your rebirth. And the best part? They don't even see it coming. But they will. Oh, they will. They were so busy admiring their own reflection, so obsessed with the image they'd built for themselves. They never noticed the cracks forming beneath their feet. And you were the change they never saw coming. While they were lost in their own arrogance, you were growing, outpacing them, outthinking them, outshining them. They were stuck in their mirror world, blinded by their own ego. They didn't realize that every time they ignored you, every time they dismissed you, they fueled your rise. And that's the irony, isn't it? Their greatest strength, their inflated sense of self, was also their greatest weakness. They thought you were beneath them. Nah, you were just climbing higher, and they were too blind to look up. So why, tell me, would you let their blindness hold you back? Why stay stuck in their shadow when you've got wings to fly? They didn't see your worth, but who cares? They don't define you. They can't stop you. Let their blindness be their downfall. While they stay trapped in their illusion, you'll rise beyond their reach. Because here's the truth, their reflection doesn't matter. What matters is the unstoppable force you've become. They focused on their mirror. You focused on the horizon. That's why you'll win. Every time. Their opinions, their judgments. They were like chains wrapped around your soul, heavy, restrictive, pulling you down, whispering lies into your ear. They made you believe their words defined you. Nah, not anymore. You see, their arrogance was a cage, but cages can't hold a storm. And that's exactly what you are, a storm they underestimated. Every word they threw at you, every judgment they passed, only strengthened your resolve. Now, you're free. You've shattered their chains, broken free from the prison of their opinions. And here's the twist, they're still trapped, stuck in their delusions, drowning in their arrogance. Let me ask you something. Why let their small minds control your infinite potential? Why waste another second in their shadow when you can stand in your own light? Walking away isn't weakness, it's power. Real power. Because when you stop caring about their judgments, you start living for yourself. And that, my friend, is freedom they'll never understand. So keep walking. Let them watch as you rise. Their opinions don't define you. Your strength does. Their chains are broken. And you're unstoppable. They ignored you. looked past you like you were nothing more than a shadow on the wall. Silent, harmless, forgettable. But shadows, oh, they grow, especially when the light of arrogance burns too bright. And now, you're no shadow anymore. Nah, you've become the storm they can't escape. The storm they never saw coming. Every whisper of doubt they fed you, every ounce of pain they poured into you, it all built something fierce, something unstoppable. They feared this moment. Feared the day you'd realize that you were never the weak one. Feared the day you'd stop waiting for their approval and carve your own path. Well, guess what? That day is here. Now they're the ones running from the power they tried to bury, running from the person they underestimated. But here's the truth: they can't outrun you. Because you're not chasing them, you're building something far greater. You are what they feared most. Not a shadow, not a victim, but a force, a storm, a reckoning. And here's the beauty of it all: you don't even need to look back. Let them fear. Let them run. Your rise is their reckoning. And your power, it's just getting started. Funny, isn't it? The ones who couldn't spare you a glance. The ones who turned their backs without a second thought. Now, they can't stop watching. Their silence was deafening back then. But now, oh, now it's their whispers that echo, whispering your name like it's the punchline to a joke they didn't see coming. They ignored you once, thought you were small, insignificant. And now, they can't ignore you even if they tried. Success has a way of turning heads, of breaking through walls they thought would hold you back. And your success, it's not just loud, it's a roar. A storm that silences their arrogance. You don't need their approval. Nah, that ship sailed when they chose to look away. But here's the kicker: they see you now. They see what you've become. And that's the loudest response to their indifference. The tables have turned, haven't they? You're no longer invisible. You're undeniable. And the best part? You didn't rise to prove them wrong. You rose to prove yourself right. So let them whisper. Let them watch. Because now, they can't ignore the storm they helped create. You've arrived. And there's no turning back. They thought their arrogance could dim your shine, that ignoring you would make you fade away. But what they didn't realize is this: you don't fade. You blaze. You burn. And your light, it was too bright. You're too powerful. Impossible to ignore. Here's the truth: their arrogance wasn't your prison. It was their blindfold. They were too caught up in their own illusion to see your rise. And now they're forced to watch as you turn everything they doubted into something undeniable. You've taught them the ultimate lesson. That dismissal, that arrogance, it's powerless against someone who knows their worth. You didn't need their approval. You became the proof. And this is only the beginning. Want to know how to thrive when no one believes in you? How to make doubt your fuel? Stay tuned, because the best revenge, oh, it's just getting started.